Ma'am, we are live now. You can start.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and as usual, good night from wherever. We are here once again to talk, to speak, to discuss, and to share knowledge and skills, to learn from one another. Thanks to IDYM for providing this opportunity to do so. This is the CPD Series 12 on communication skills and techniques. We're not going to waste too much time, but it's important that we understand what we are going in for. A topic that is very, very important and that touches on everybody's life as well, like every other topic we have engaged in here. This topic is going to be discussed by 3 scholars, very eminent scholars, noted for their knowledge, for their skills, for their speaking, for their sharing. We have the 3 of them here. The first person we have is Veena Hawani. Then we have Dr. Ashok Gupta. Then we have Sutapa Nandi. And my humble self, who will be moderating the session. My name is Uche Emetarom. I'm from Nigeria. The speakers are from India. We have no doubt that it's going to be a treat of communication skills and communication techniques. But I guess we all are familiar with communication. What is communication? They will let us know. But it's important that we understand how communication started, why it is important, and we're talking about communication today. The origin of communication, it's important that we understand it to know why it is important for IDYM to share knowledge on it. You will agree with me that the first means of communication is the human voice. God made it so right from the word go, the voice that he gave us to communicate with. That's the first and foremost. Now, trace back to history. Find that since the year 100,000 BC, other forms of communication started coming. The use of technology came on board, and to be traced first to be used by symbols. After that, at about 3,000 years BC. Then among the symbols that are being used, there are people who have given, who have the first communicators in different ways. We have, for instance, the Iraqis about 3,200 years ago, and the Egyptians were the first, amongst the first who started using invented writing. We started with what they call carving paintings on the wall, carving paintings on caves and on canyons. And those carvings and paintings communicated something. That was the way they communicated then. And of course, you will agree with me that there were skills. They had skills that they used to do those. Those who couldn't do those, who didn't have the skills. And they did those with carvings because they wanted to showcase their culture. They wanted to showcase their culture. Then it went on to another form of communication, pictogram. It evolved. Pictogram and ideograms. Then in 3500 BC, we had what we call coniform writing, developed by a group of people we call the Sumerians. But remember, the voice, the human voice was the number one. The written ones is what we are talking about. Now, as we proceeded, we found out that the Egyptians and the Iraqis also produced their own. The Egyptians, hieroglyphics came on board. They developed their own writing called hieroglyphics. These were the symbols that they use in written communication. And this later developed into alphabet system that we now know today. But also bear in mind that in China, in the year 1500 BC, China also had their own writing. And then other civilizations in Central America, like the Mayans, also invented their own system of writing. So you can know that communication did not start today. And it's because it's so important that people were developing various ways of communicating. So today, we want to see what are the exact things we know about communication today. The act of what is it? What is the root of communication? The English word for communication, they tell us, because we didn't just start knowing communication. It's an English word that arose from the Latin word communicare. And this communicare means import or participate or to transmit. It derived from the root communis, that's Latin. And then later it started evolving. English version of communication also reached us. There are certain people now that can't communicate in English. Every nation, every country has its own form of communication in their own native language. The Indians have their own. We in Nigeria, we have several of them. So the same applies to everybody except for the English people, America, they still use the English way of communicating. So having painted this background where we are coming from about communication, I'd like us to delve more into it. This specialist in communication, let us know from your various angles how you think all these communication methods have evolved, the skills that can be used in whatever language you want to communicate. What are those skills? What are those techniques? So I would like to first request Vena to take on the floor. But before then, I will want to let us know who she is, who Vena is. As we said, she's a very able hand. Vena is a skills trainer. So we are right. We are correct for her to be here. Was an RJ in UAE. She worked for Middle East Research and Consultancy Group in Dubai. Having over 15 years of working experience, also have conducted webinars during COVID and have catered for over 1,000 participants in virtual public speaking, functional English, goal setting, impromptu speaking, very good at that. She's been a moderator for various events, virtually and physically. Now training for radio jockey. Wow. And anchoring public speaking, communication skills, personality development. We want to welcome you, Vina, your towering profile that anchored on skills. You're a skills person, you're skilled. Please let us into your knowledge and skill. Thank you.
Thanks very, very much for this wonderful introduction, Dr. Uche. And you're really, really amazing, you know, and the way you've introduced that's really amazing. Yes, I was a radiator in Dubai for quite some time, and then I worked for Middle East consultancy. And here I am with this amazing topic, communication skills. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, happy morning, happy afternoon, happy evening to all of you across the world, whosoever has joined us today. My name is Veena Hazwani, and today, as you know, we're talking about communication skills. What is communication? We are also communicating at this point of time, you know, verbally, non-verbally, even the gestures, postures, everything really matters. So let's take a little insight about what communication skills is. I would like to share my screen. Communication is an essential element, first of all, I would like to mention, without which we wouldn't understand each other, without which we cannot impart our knowledge to each other, without which we cannot create this amazing social media networking background out here, because of which we are all connected here. So here we are, and let's begin. So effective communication skills. Now, what are effective communication skills and what are the pillars? What are the essentials? We'll take a quick insight about it right now. So the origin of the word, the term communication, actually, it has actually come from the Latin word, as you know, Dr. Uche has just mentioned. It has actually come from the Latin word communis, which means common, actually. And when we communicate, we try to establish a commonness, you know. We try to sort of give knowledge, understand, and one essential part of communication is, you know, listening. You need to be an amazing listener. And God has given us 2 ears and just 1 mouth. So the important impact of communication is be a good listener, right? Have you ever thought that God has given us 2 ears? Why? Because God wants us to listen more and then speak accordingly and sensibly, right? So when we communicate, we try to establish commonness with someone to get the sender and receiver tuned together for a particular message. Moving on to the next slide. Now, what exactly is communication? So basically, communication is what? Communication is actually an exchange of information, like what we are doing at the moment, what we do in our office, what we do at home, or whenever we meet our friends. What do? We exchange gossips when we meet our friends. When we are in the office, we exchange ideas to attain the respective goals for us. So communication is the exchange of information between 2 or more people to create an understanding in the mind of the other. Now, there are various types. So what are the most common types of communication? Now, first of all, what it consists is the spoken words, the visual images. Okay, now visual images also include your presentation as well as your own presentation, right? Your gestures, your postures, the way, you know, you're moving your hands, you're raising your hands, the way you're smiling, the way you're getting angry, or way you're, you know, showing those emotions. So all those visual images are also part of essential communication, effective communication. And then there are written word, as we know, there's written communication as well. As you know, when we speak verbal, we also, like how Dr. Uche is, you know, probably writing something. So we always have this written communication. We write to each other, we mail each other, and then obviously, what are we doing? We have a nice WhatsApp group. We just, you know, type in and then, message each other. So again, written communication is also one of the essential communication, which actually is actually taking, you can say, an important integral part in our life. And then there's body language. As I just mentioned, when we talk about body language, it includes your emotion, your gestures, your postures, and the way, even the shortest gesture. Suppose you're on stage and you're, have you ever seen, you go to the stage and then there is this maybe annual event or something, and it just takes 5 seconds for you to analyze, oh my God, the host looks a little nervous. Oh my God, I don't think he's dressed properly. Oh, I don't think he's feeling confident. So there are so many things that are taken care, and just in 5 seconds, we decide whether the host is amazing or is going to entertain you or what, So the audience are pretty intelligent, in 5 seconds, they in a way hire you or like fire you kind of situation. That's what it turns out to be. Now, there are the 3 V's, that are essentially, important for the level of communication, and that's verbal, that's vocal, and again, it's visual. Now, when I talk about verbal is what basically I'm doing at the moment. I'm verbally talking to you all, verbally I'm explaining something, and then it's vocal. When I talk about vocal, basically vocal is the tone, the pitch, the pace, the pauses that I basically give, and actually the modulation of my voice. For example, if I say, I just want to give a small example that will really enhance the voice modulation skill that is part of communication. For example, if I want to say this mobile is mine, right? Now, the sentence is so simple, mobile is mine. But what if I want to create an expression with this? What if I want to create an emotion with this? What if I want to say it in anger? How would I say it? This mobile is mine, right? This is the way I say it, right? It was just a simple sentence, and then you just created an emotion. And what if you're happy? It's just the same sentence. How do you modulate and say in a very happy tone? How would you say? You would go like, this mobile is mine, man. Come on, it's just mine, okay? So it's just the same sentence, but you just saw the emotion that we added. So that is voice modulation, and that really creates a greater impact while we are communicating, while we are dealing, while we are actually, persuading or convincing people working along with us, below us or above us. So communication, the modulation really plays a lead role. And one more modulation I would want to say, suppose if I want to say this mobile is mine in a very exciting tone, so I'd be like, this mobile is mine, this mobile is mine. So you just saw that? It was just a simple sentence, but then the way we modulated it, that made a larger difference, didn't it? I'm sure it did make. And if it did, please put it in the comment box if it really made a larger difference, just this small sentence, yes. And then we come to visuals. As I said, visuals is your presentation. The way you're presenting, the way you're dressed up for an occasion, the way you're speaking, your tone, your voice, and the pitch and the pauses. Guys, pause is also one of the essential elements, whenever you are communicating, right? You must have noticed when your mom, when you were small or something, when your mom, if at all she has paused for a while, so many thoughts come into your mind. Oh my God, maybe she's angry, or maybe mom's in tension, or maybe she's distressed today. What's wrong with mom? Mom keeps talking. What's wrong with her? She's not speaking to me today. Or what if your boss is mute in the office, if he's just silent? So that is also one part of communication. That is also one sort of communication that brings a remarkable change or remarkable thought in your mind. Don't you think so? If you think so, please, you can just mention in the small chat box and let me know. Yes, and then we have the verbal message that I said, the message that we deliver, the vocal, the voice that we convey, as I really did a demonstration. And then it's visual, and visual is our body language. So remember these 3 V's. These 3 V's are supposed to be the essentials of communication, which you really need to have. Now, when we talk about effective communication, verbal communication means sharing things by means of words, information. It could be feelings, thoughts, support, and also memories. Now, think before you speak. Why do they say again and again, just think before you speak, just mind your words, just mark what exactly are you saying? Why do they say that? Because your words actually are your reputation, that are linked with what you exactly want to send, what message you want to exactly convey, whether it's helpful, whether it's encouraging, whether it's worthwhile, whether it's appreciative, or it could create an amazing ambience or a comfort ambience for someone, and to ensure maximum productivity. Now, when we talk about body language, now the first one I have taken here is eye contact. Now, eye contact also makes a larger difference, while you're communicating, because whenever you're communicating with someone, when you have that slight eye contact, really the other person feels, yes, she's trying to really tell me something. And I, as a listener, even that eye contact again matters a lot, because when you are actually having that right eye contact, it makes the other person feel, okay, she's listening or he's listening to me, and whatever I'm saying really means to her or really makes sense to her. All right. And then it's your gestures. All right. Gestures are the way, the movement of your hands and the way you're, nodding your head or shaking your head. And, and when we talk about eye contact, guys, don't just sit and stare. If I say just make an eye contact, doesn't mean you need to get in the eyes of the other person and start staring and like anything. It just needs to be really mild and cool and really, gentle. I would rather use that word, gentle. Yes. And then it's the posture, right? Now, postures also make a larger difference. Suppose if I'm just slouching and I'm just giving my presentation at the moment, you wouldn't like it. You would be like, oh my gosh, she seems to be sleepy, or she seems to be lazy, or something like that. Or whenever, you are talking to someone, have your posture right, your back straight, with your head, in an aligned position, so that, other person really feels that the person is quite attentive, the person who's speaking. Even as a listener, you can have the similar posture and listen to the other person should feel that, you're really giving importance to the other person. You're listening to the other person really carefully. And, that would really give an importance to the other person and importance to yourself as well. Now, there are 7 types of communications. There is verbal, as what I'm doing. There's nonverbal, which I mentioned. Your body language is nonverbal. You're not speaking, but you're actually speaking. And you're actually speaking, you can say 1,000 times better than your words, or more than your words, all right? And then there's written communication, there's oral communication, and then there's active listening, right? 2 ears God has given. Remember, you need to be a keen listener to be a great speaker. And then there's visual communication. And then there is mass communication, right? Now, mass communication is, probably when you're talking with the mass media, when you're probably on the television and you're talking to the masses over there, maybe lakhs and millions of people are listening to you. That is also one sort of communication. Also, like I was a radio jockey in Dubai whenever I used to, host a show in the evening. So I used to have the masses listening to me. That is also one sort of communication. But in that case, people do not respond instantly. It's they respond. I never used to have Facebook during that time. I never used to have Instagram. So people used to write letters, guys. Literally, people used to write letters. So that was also written communication from their side. They used to probably call up and say, "Ma'am, I really like the way you presented the show the other day, and I really like the way you just took that particular point, which actually we emotionally got connected." So that is also another sort of communication where people actually get connected to you, right? So words can move mountains, guys. Words can, either destroy or can create a larger difference to your life, right? So we are here to create a different life. We are here to create brighter lives with IDYM. Now, the important elements, the 7 C's of communication, I would like to mention. First of all, you need to have clarity. You need to have, you need to make your objective clear. What exactly do you want to say? What exactly do you want? The intention has to be absolutely clear. And you need to avoid complex words and phrases, because everyone does not understand the scientific jargons of words and all, right? If you have the simple language, people are really going to connect very well with you. Or else it can probably create miscommunication, and which normally happens these days, right? So you need to be pretty careful. So whenever you are communicating, make your objective clear, avoid complex words and phrases, and then let it be concise, okay? Don't just elaborate, just beat around the bush, like, you have to come to the point, but you need to beat around the bush and just killing time. No, you just need to keep it clear and to the point too, and avoid the filler words, okay? Like and those are like filler words. So if you can avoid that, that will create an impactful communication. And also the sentences. And then you need to have that concrete kind of communication, right? The next C that is really important is be specific, not vague, okay? You need to be clear to the point, crystal clear exactly what you want to say, right? So use facts and figures to support your message. Probably you need some facts and figures actually to create that impact to the other person, like for a better clarity, of what exactly you want to say, or what impact would create out of what you're saying. And then you need to be quite correct. Try to avoid the typos, use correct facts and figures, as we just said, and use the right level of language. Guys, I would really want to mention over here the selection of words. It really makes a larger difference. Really makes a larger difference. No matter you're having a general communication, no matter you're talking to your friends, no matter you're in the office, no matter wherever you are, the selection of words make a larger difference. You see how the prime ministers, they speak, the selection of their words are such up to the mark that people actually get persuaded, people actually get convinced, right? So selection of words, mark my words, these are really important. You need to have the right selection of words, right? And then coherent, does your message make sense? You need to make sure that, does your message make sense, or are you just, wasting the other person's time and probably yours and your energy, or other person's energy? So be sure of not wasting the other person's time, and whatever you say should actually make sense. Ensure it flows logically. Okay, there has to be some logic attached to whatever you're saying, and avoid covering too much. Now, you just don't no need to like cover additional things which are not even related to that, or additional things which are could be just cut off, and things would have been said in a short and crisp method. So just avoid the additional covering. And then complete. Does the message contain everything it needs to include call to action? Right? So be sure that whatever we say, what message we are trying to convey, at least it has to be in a complete format. It shouldn't be like, oh my God, I just forgot to say that. Oh, I had a word with her for an hour, but I just missed that point. So please don't do that. You may need to have the complete information to actually impart that information to the other person, and that could create clarity also. All right. Otherwise, the other person might have, again, I would say it could create a miscommunication, like, oh my God, she did not say that at that time. Probably someone must have just given her that idea, or probably she is taken away. She should have told me on that particular note, on that particular time, right? So saying it on that time, speaking at the right time, that also again makes a large difference. Now you need to be courteous, right? Now, being a good communicator does not mean that you need not create that another sea of courtesy. You have to be courteous. Being polite builds goodwill, right? Suppose now over here, I'm any of us would, speak in a very, a bit arrogant, or show, that, yeah, I know quite a lot. No, that wouldn't be good, right? We are learning, relearning, unlearning with each other. We are just like a family. IDYM has created this amazing platform where now we actually feel like a family, every day at 8:30, we feel like, yes, now today we're going to learn something new, right? So need to be courteous. We need to be polite. Why? Because that will create and build your goodwill, right? So, and ensure that your message is actually tactful, okay? That has to be some good sense out there. Moving on. Why do you need to develop strong communication skills? Did you ever notice what is the reason? Why do we need this? So in this modern time we live in, we are receiving, sending, processing a large number of messages every day. Aren't we doing that? We have our mobiles in our hand. We are just, sending messages here and there, written, verbal. But successful communication is far more than sharing information and understanding of feelings behind this information, right? Why do we say read between the lines? Have you heard this? Many people say that read between the lines, read between the lines. Why do they say that? They say that is because there are certain other things which are said, not in the lines, but probably beyond that. So you need to have that good sense to understand that. Now, so strong communication can deepen relations in personal life or public life. In personal life, they can help us understand better people and happen on daily basis. So what happens is now, if you really want to have that successful communication and you need to deepen your relation or personal life, guys, it's really important. You try to understand, try to be empathetic, to people, try to understand what they're exactly trying to say, try to understand their problems, their emotions, their expressions. That's really important. And it's vice versa. Actually, you also expect them to do so, right? But then if you become a good communicator, it all begins with us. We need to change ourselves first. Now, developing communication skills can help us avoid conflicts, and it can really help us to make better decisions, right? It's really going to, avoid conflicts. And when we have a smooth relationship, take it in your office, take it at home, take it with your friends, that runs for a longer time in life. Now, whenever we are in the office at our workplace, don't you think so? The power of strong communication plays a lead role. Do you think so? Do you think so? Yes, you do. So with strong communication skills, you can clearly impact. Let me just close this window. So with strong communication, you can clearly impact your business, right? See, now that's what I said. Even two countries can create amazing things, right? Whenever, just because of this power of communication, even two countries can either become rivals or can become the best. So strong communication can clearly impact your business. Great communicators are the ones who bring solutions. We always need to we always need to be a solution maker rather than a problem creator, right? Because a good communicator will always try to have the right solutions at right time, and probably create more ideas, more ways, so that we can have better solution and maybe more than one solutions at a time. So great communicators are those who bring solutions, drive change, motivate, and inspire their colleagues, right? So now we all here are probably inspiring, motivating each other, so that really has created an amazing communication ambience out here. By improving communication skills, we can also improve employee engagement. Yes, now people who are working along with us, we can create harmonious relationship. We can create that calmness in the office, and we can create that progression, that, probably a better version of our work, what we basically need to do. It creates a better teamwork. It also creates decision making and interdepartmental communication at the workplace. For that reason, communication skills are the most demanded. And most of the time, when we talk about communication skills, when we talk about soft skills, have you noticed that communication skills is the one people really get inclined towards, right? Even if we are imparting our knowledge to those people, whosoever we are teaching communication skills or soft skills or any skill, how do we start? With this nice mouth. So it's again verbal communication. So communication is the topmost skill everyone must know. It's need of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. So let's move on. Now, what are the 4 important points that can help you come? Now we know what exactly are the important communication skills, the 7 C's, and what are the steps. But did you know that how do you improve it? Yes. So the first one is listen. Listen with empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand the feelings, thoughts, beliefs of another person. Exactly. This is why the organizations have started developing empathy in the workplace, right? Now you need to have some sort of connection emotionally and with the right expression with each other. And when I say when you have the right expression, automatically the best impression will be created. So emotional acceptance, closely related to empathy, means that after empathizing and understanding how other person feels, we can accept the reason why somebody feels or thinks the way they do, regardless of what we agree with it or not. So try to see the things from other person's perspective as well. Why do you always want to imply, your thoughts on people? At least try to understand what the other person wants to say, what the other person needs, right? So by accepting whatever you hear, instead of trying to fix things and solve them. Moving on. Yeah. So now, whenever we talk about communication, we need to know first it's listening. As I said, listening is the base, is the prime element, and then it is communication begins with you. That means you need to speak up, take responsibility, and do not wait and expect another person to do so. We are very nice human beings. We just want to have a relaxed zone at times. We just expect, let the other person do. I'll just take care of it probably later or something. So let the other person start, or take the initiative to do so. So don't do that. You also can be your own initiator. Why don't you initiate something so that, you can have those amazing results out there. And don't hide behind various forms of online communication. Good communication, especially on the important topics, requires far more than what we can express in written language. Now, I would want to, probably you can probably differentiate between written and oral. Now, for example, I'll just give you a very sweet example. Suppose you want to go out for a coffee with your friend, right? Now, I normally tell this to my students also. I think this is the best example that suits to the emotion. So whenever I tell them, you want to invite your friend for a coffee. So what do? You just type in, right? Hey, can you catch up for a coffee today? We just put it in the, WhatsApp group, or, personally message them on WhatsApp. But what if you called up and you said, hey, can we catch up for a coffee? Now, did you see the difference? Over there, only the words are speaking, and over here, your expression, emotions, and the modulation. Yes, the person will definitely say, yes, I will catch up for a coffee today. I mean, you just said that in such a way that I just thought I would just go out with you. Just so the emotions and expressions, they really catch up, right? So written communication and again, oral communication. Oral communication is much more effective than the written communication. So prepare what you're going to say. Now, whenever, you are as an oral communicator, you need to be very careful at whatever you want to say. So you need to be pre-prepared of what you want to say. So think before you speak. Most of us work best when we have time to process our own thoughts before we share them. If the conversation or meeting is worth your precious time, take a few minutes to prepare speech draft for very important conversation. Try to walk up the conversation with a trusted person so you can get rid of any potential mistakes. So obviously we humans tend to make mistakes, right? So we should always be careful. Whenever we are speaking, we need to be all set. We should be all set for the answers also. That's my next point. So be ready for different answers. As you formulate a speech strategy, put yourself in the position of the person who will listen to you, right? Whenever we speak, we only think about what I want to say. Do we ever think that what the other person who's a listener, what would the other person be thinking, or what would the other person be taking that message as? So this will ensure a balanced approach, and you will be prepared to learn and defend potential disagreements. So guys, be ready for the answers. Probably whenever you're ready for some communicative things or message or something, you should know, what if this answer comes up? What if she answers or he answers like that? What am I supposed to say? You need to be all set. You need to be all prepared. So it will be easier for you to defend your standpoint. No one can predict with certainty how other person will react, because people are all unpredictable. You never know how people take things, the way you are. You never know how would they take things up. So improve chances of successful conversation by expecting negative answers and queries. Everything is not, bed of roses. Everything is not as cool as cucumber. You might get some, they might shoot some different questions. So you need to be ready for that too. So it is harder for your listener to catch up, be unprepared. Moving on. That's all, guys. That's all. Thanks very much, IBYM, for having me. And I hope you're all probably I was able to impart whatever I knew today. So thanks very much.
Wow. Thank you, Zena. You have gone through everything almost that we need to know about communication. And one single thing that wraps up all you have said. You talked about types, what communication is. You also mentioned the origin, how it came about, how to communicate. You talked about the 7 C's of communication skills, where we need to have strong communication. Why do we develop? How do we develop, and why do we need to develop that? Is it really important in human relationship? Yes, to be able to relate properly and not to be misunderstood. You talked about the power of strong communication skills in the workplace, in business, even at home, even with your friend, for several reasons. You talked about several important points that we need to know on how to improve our communication skills. There are various preparation before you speak, and listening and taking into consideration the other person's point of view and all that. You've gone around everything. And I would like to say, there is a survey that encapsulates all that is about communication, which is also what I've heard you say. It's a survey that took place, I think it's 2016 in the United States. Let me share it with you people. Let me share it with you. Okay. Sorry, I think I am getting the wrong thing. But that survey talked about amongst every other, okay, I think I have it here. Yeah. You look at this. This is a survey conducted in 2016, and all we are told here, is this visible?
Yeah.
Okay. All we are saying is here, of all the soft skills that human beings have, you look at communication, that is, in that survey, it was rated the most important amongst all the soft skills. It's rated 57.9%, whereas organization is 56.6, 5, teamwork, always punctual, critical thinking, social skills, creativity, interpersonal communication, adaptability, friendly personality, all of them. Communication is important. And why is communication important? As you can see here, it's in a survey. If you like, also, you can conduct that survey yourself. Why that is happening is that of all the soft skills of everything we do, there must be communication. And that communication can be, they didn't stipulate which type. It can be in color, in terms of color. It can be in terms of signs. It can be in terms of your body movement. So all kinds of communication are very, very essential. That is the sum total of what I heard you say. And that is the reason we should develop strong and effective communication skills. Use techniques in order to develop that. There are also some techniques that will aid us in achieving effective communication. You may want to just name a few of them before you leave. Just name a few of the techniques, please. Just 1 or 2 techniques that can aid in communication.
Sure. So the techniques actually would vary. If you're at the workplace, you need to be concrete with your information. You need to be courteous. And at the same time, you need to sound, why did I say concrete? Is because as a boss, whenever you're giving the instructions, you need to sound little concrete. It does not mean you need to sound harsh. There is a fine difference between harsh and concrete. Okay? You need to sound a little concrete, but not bossy, right? So that will only develop when you start practicing communication, right? Even that applies for moms, for moms as well. They need to be concrete at times, but not harsh, because if they are harsh, children learn to be harsh as well, and then it just happens, with the moms as well.
Okay, can I ask you, are there techniques, are there things you use to communicate apart from your mouth?
So
there are various types. What are the other techniques? What are the other things you use to communicate? Are we communicating now?
Yes, we are actually. And
what
even
are
if
we
I'm
using?
not saying,
what are we using to communicate now?
We are using our verbal, and if I say non-verbal, then I'm going to
we are using our laptops or our phones.
That's again the electronic communication. Yes.
Yes. So so there are several. You can use phone. You can use your pad, your book.
Yes. So
you can use messaging. So these are techniques, but any one that you use, there are so many of them. Let me see if I can share also with you so that we understand what we're talking about. Techniques, techniques of communicating. I hope I have them here. I have it here. Okay, it's here. Okay, that's it. If you look at all this, you can see there are various handsets. There are so many techniques. But even the television, you see the what do you call it, that powers our television? Yes. They are all communication techniques. You see the headgear there. You see, there are so many of them. You see the hand, and so these are techniques, the gadgets you need in order to be effective, and the way you use them and how you apply them will also enhance your effectiveness in communication. Communication doesn't take place in the air, so we also need to package all of them as aspects of communication. I don't know if anybody here, because you're leaving, does anybody here want to ask a question to Vina? Please, if you need to ask any question to her before she leaves, please do. Am I seeing any hands?
I would like to say that because you have mentioned so many sources of communication, those electronic communication devices. So for that, we also need to be techno savvy. We need to be quite friendly with the technology these days, you know, in order to become a good communicator through those technological gadgets. We need to be techno savvy. So that's the term today, techno savvy. Yeah.
Okay. Paper is also there. So many of them are there. Please, anybody, does anybody have anything to say to her? I can see some people have
There is one communication skill. Yeah, I'm Sonal here. Good evening, ma'am.
Sorry.
Yeah,
please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shall I speak?
Can we see you, please?
Yeah, sure.
Can we see you, please?
Yes.
Can we see you?
It's okay. I'm not going to
we are not able to see you, Sonal.
Okay, Sonal.
Hi.
Hello, Sonal. How are
Hello.
you? Yeah.
Okay, please go ahead before she leaves.
Yeah. There is one communication skill that is missing in most of the people that is body language skills. That is the first form of non-verbal communication skill.
Absolutely.
With body language is one of the highest communication skills. How you behave, how you portray yourself and present yourself is one of the first and the last impression in any sector, whether you're an educator or whether you're in a corporate.
Absolutely.
So
that's why they say. That's why they say first impression is the last impression.
Yes. It doesn't require any technology. It doesn't require any Wi-Fi. You have everything inside you. The body language is the first sign to show what kind of a person you are. Your eye expressions, your facial expressions, your way of conveying. Yes, exactly. Confidence is the silent, non-verbal communication skill.
Yes.
So that is all I would like to say. We need to have more, you can say, concentration on the non-verbal parts also, which don't require Wi-Fi, which don't require any technology.
That needs a larger. That needs a larger, you can say, focus basically. And words are only 7% of a person's personality.
That is why they say words either destroy the world and words will either build the world. So words are the highest form of communication, gadgets, or whatever you can say. That's all.
What
Thank
I
you
say.
So much.
Words can move mountains, you know, from drastic to fantastic, or from fantastic to drastic.
Because what I believe is, if you are supporting anyone, do it sincerely and show it, rather than just portraying yourself that you are doing it. So actions speak louder than words. So show it and do it genuinely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much, Sonalji. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think, Vina, you also mentioned that body language. And in body language, you're talking to somebody, and it is only body language, it becomes necessary when you are talking face to face.
Absolutely.
When you have faced somebody, you don't have to cross your hands. You don't have to, you know, because your face shows. And that is why you give a wrong impression with that body language.
Absolutely.
You smile, and even when you're talking on the phone, your body language shows. If you're angry over the phone, it will show. If you're smiling over the phone, it will show. So it's
because of the modulation. Again, I said the modulation. As I said, the mobile is mine. You can say it in various ways. For example, if I say I love you, I can also say I love you, or I can say I love you. So the modulation matters in the larger scale, I would rather say.
Yes, you mentioned it. You mentioned, but you went to town with it. You explained. If there's no other person, we'll let Vina go. We'll go to the next speaker.
Sure.
The next speaker. Vina, is there anything you want to say finally before you leave us?
Yes, I would like to really thank Mr. Ravi Shankar, sir, for IDYM, and to thank you and to thank all the speakers and whosoever have connected from any part of the world. Thanks very much for being wonderful listeners, because that's where real communication starts, when you become a great listener. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you, Vina. Thank you. We'll connect next time. Wonderful speaking. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. We applaud you. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so we'll go over to, you know, I am a gender person. I believe in both males and females. So I like to alternate. I know Sutapa will understand. And because of that, we have the male in between. So permit me to invite Dr. Ashok Gupta.
Yeah.
You are the next person that will give us a treat. And Dr. Gupta is not anybody that is we can start looking for in India, internationally, or anywhere. He is a world educationist. Yes, Dr. Gupta has a Guinness World Book of Records that he holds in 2015. World Book of Records. He is OMG Book of Records holder 2021. That tells you how international he is. He's owner and chief editor of Education Monthly News. The Education Monthly newspaper is called Vidhyayala Dapa Mumbai. Please let me take permission for wrong pronunciation. He is founder of 3 colleges in Mumbai. He also is a motivational speaker. He is guest speaker, like he did in Prime's Time, Mindset, IDYM Foundation, Positive Thoughts, and many other, places. He's a social activist. He is a continuous 3 times education award winner from Thailand government. He's best principal awardee 2 times from the MP. His best teacher award given to him is he's a Maharashtra chief of Naland Human Rights of India. He has so much that if we start, reeling them out, that might constitute another speaking. So I beg to stop by saying that he is a qualified PhD holder, and he has worked in the field of education in the last 28 years. So he's a great educator. So permit me to stop here so that he can give us everything that he has in order to support his 28 years as an educator, because doing that means he is a communicator. Every teacher is a communicator and must communicate in a most effective way. So Dr. Gupta, please treat us, let us know how you have taken communication, what it is, and your practices about it. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
First, I thanks to IDYM Foundation to giving me this opportunity on the topic of communication technique. See, this is a best example of communication. Today we are on the Zoom meeting. This is the best example of the communication. So before of that, also I give the that from today in Maharashtra celebrating a Ganesh festival for the 10 days. So first I wish them for this the great festival of Maharashtra. Now I am explaining the few words of the about the just a minute about the communication skills. This communication skills just a minute. First thing, we can understand what is the communication. This is very important that we should understood why the communication. The communication is a method of providing information or the conveying idea via speech, writing, visual, or the body action. Before of my speech, my colleague Veena is explained each and everything about the communication. So in the communication, one is the sending the message and other person is receive it. When the communication take place, it should be a simple and easy to grab so that the receiver can understand without putting any extra efforts. If you want to express your expression, if you want to say something, so it is very important that whatever you want to say, that a listener should be understand without any extra effect. So that is the best example of a communication. To make a communication easy and more understanding, one should be use a communication technique in order to enhance the communication skills. This communication is a very important part of all the fields, not even the our society or school or around the world. The communication is a very important. Here I want to show the main four type of communication part. First is the verbal communication. Verbal communication means whatever I express. The verbal communication is an oral form of communication in a simple language. This type of communication take place with the transferring of word with the help of sound. This is the best form of communication as it transfer information and easy way the people understand it more conveniently. This verbal communication, that this is some verbal communication is use of a word to share the information with other people. It includes both spoken and written communication. Here one person is express their ideas with the help of speaking, and the another person, whatever the first person is uh, saying something with their words, they can understand clearly. If the person who is express their idea verbally and the listener is not understand, there is no any use of the proper communication. So the main part of verbal communication is to the clarity. Clarity is the main important part of a verbal education. So the speak and confidence. This is the main part. Second is the art of listening. Suppose I want to say about myself, and the person who is not understood about the my wording, so they can having the not good confidence about whatever I want to say that. And second, the body language. Something whenever we are expressing with a verbal, the people can express their body language. They can express with the hand. Suppose the size, we can express with the size. And suppose I want to say a single word, so I show with the one finger. And also that communication should be a very friendly. This is the first part of the types of communication. Second is a non-verbal. That is the interpersonal communication, which is the before of me. Veena is spelling, but Ucheman and one of my colleagues, that Sonal, he told that how can you express? So this is the second part in this non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is the second most important form of communication that comes after the verbal communication. Before you speak, people notice your body language, your gestures. How well are you appearing in the front of them? These things convey a lot of things. Suppose you, without saying, you can express whatever you want to say that easily. Suppose without say, if you want to say to clap, so you can also express with the symbol or the body language. Your body language is a very important. Your body language show how much you are interested in a person. That is a very important part. Learning back on their chair at the interview show the disregard towards the interviewer. Saying so, you are the disinterested. Walking is a dull manner and indicates a lack of confidence. You must watch your non-verbal form of communication to make a good impact of other. This non-verbal communication is also the everything is depends on the gestures, postures, because sometimes there is a some special condition. If you mention your thinking without saying words, this technique mostly the student use in exams. Whenever they ask the answer of the question, that time they can having a such type of technique, that is a non-verbal technique. Or without saying, they can express or they can ask about the anything. So non-verbal communication is the transmission of the message or a single to a non-verbal platform such as eye contact. With the help of eye, you can express that. Suppose the person, you want to say something and your another person can accept your message. So that time you can express your message with the eye. A facial expression. Facial expression, if you are happy, so you can show your face with a happy mood. Or when you are not unhappy, that time you shut your mouth and in a without saying any in a silent mode. And gesture and postures and the distance between two individuals. Sometimes without say you can express your view message with the help of touch. Sometimes with a body movement. Sometimes with your gesture with your fingers, hands, and many other things. If you want in the mood of dancing, so you can express with your body language that I am mood to in a dancing, or you can say the another person that you are come for and join me without saying a single words. And third is a written communication. Written communication, which is a use in a today's multimedia, that is in emails, WhatsApp, that is a written communication. That in this you can say your message without calling, or you can send a message, or you can express your things in a writing material. Writing for communicating your ideas is an age-old tradition. People since ages writing so that thoughts can be preserved and message could be sent to other. Earlier, people used to write letters and post them. Now, emails and WhatsApp. Previously, we can express or we can send our message with the help of letters, and the same thing in a current situation we are using email, WhatsApp, Facebook, Insta. This is the example of a written communication, replacing everything with the advent of the social media and WhatsApp. People are losing the art of writing. There is what is the lack of this communication? This is the, if you are using a written communication with the help of WhatsApp, so in this way your grammatical mistake you can see, but in a, whenever you are expressing your uh, message or your whatever your thought with a saying, so some in a form of verbal, so there is a many type of a grammatical mistake and you cannot catch them. So written communication is the best example that you find out your grammatical mistake. They are using informal style so that the formal way of writing has now been forgotten. So you must know when to use a formal writing style and when you should go for a informal writing style. In this series, there is a fourth. In written communication, we can refer to the process of conveying a message through the written signal or symbols. There is a, this is the previous one, the postcard. Now here is the email. And suppose you want to give any report, so that time we use a user manual in a form of report, that is a written communication, or there is another form of that memos. There is a fourth and the very important part of communication for all, that is the visual communication. The visual form of communication is getting more popular day by day. Every company sells its product with the help of visual form of communication. Suppose if you want to show that the non-smoking zone, so you having the cigarette with the cut marks that this is a no smoking zone. So such type of example for visual communication. For example, every new medicine in a market has an advertisement through a doctor. Car complaints are promoting a new car model through a TV advertisement. There are lots of benefits of the visual form of communication. It gets easy to spread the information to the large part of the audience. So such type of visual communication mostly used for the advertising. The many companies, they are depends on this visual communication. So here is some examples of the visual communication. This is the sign of the dangerous, not smoking zone, or smoking is prohibited. This is for gents, this is for ladies. Use a zebra crossing. This is for the safe. And also pictures, drawing, TV ads, videos, and all type of that our loss and profit we are so in a form of graphic, that is the visual communication. Here, this communication having a different types of techniques, because the every communication is depends on a technique. Without this technique, that communication is not is a proper way. First thing, a silent treatment. Whatever the one person is saying, that another person can listen carefully. If uh, you can't listen properly, so there is a miscommunication. So this is a very important part of that, the silent treatment. Second thing, ask question. If you not understood any terms, you can ask for to understood whatever he or she want to say. Third thing, a listening. A listening is a very important part. First, you can listen whatever the frontier man is want to say, the front man, whatever he want to say, that you can listen properly, then you can ask or you can say about whatever he or she told. After that, a feedback. A feedback is the very important part of the all the communication, whatever the it is a right or wrong. So this is a important thing. And the observation. Observation means whatever that is this observation is depends on the visual communication. So this is also the important part. After that, open a book. Open a book means whatever that you should, it is correct or not, you can discuss on that. After the enthusiasm, whatever that you should agree with that, whatever he or she told. And language choice. A language is a play very important role for the communication. If a person he express their views or he say their own language and the listener they are not the knowledge of that language, so there is a miscommunication gap about this technique. So this language choice is a very important role in communication. So mostly the English language they can choose for their communication, because this language they can easily understood. Your mother tongue is a different, your expression is a different, but your communication language is a play very important role. Keep a sense of humor. This is also a very important part of that. You should have the sense that how can you understood whatever the whatever you want to the listen from the speakers. And smile. If you understood, you can show your expression with a smile. If you not understood, you the keep quiet, and after that you can explain, yeah, this is a correction between your communication. And honesty, this is also the very important part of the uh, communication technique. Never stop learning. This is the main foundation of every communication. If you start learning, so your communication is not become so good. And after that, the communication is a help in a two way, your personal as well as social life. How can this communication skill help? When you know how to speak, when to speak and what to speak. This is a very important thing. When you know how to speak and when to speak and what to speak, this is a chant between the communication. Then you can handle your problems more easily in a personal life. If you can express your uh, ideas with the help of communication, that your life become a more easy. Good communication include a verbal and non-verbal. Again, here is the verbal and non-verbal is a very important thing for the good communication. If you gain a good command over these two types, then you reduce the chances of the engaging in the conflict with your family and friend. Means if you are good in a verbal and non-verbal communication, so your personal and your social, your friends and family, it's become a good, because they can easily understood whatever you want to say that. So develop this both things, they can develop with the help of this communication skill. And The good communicator are more confident. When you have command on your communication, you will be eventually have a more confidence in yourself. Yes, it is correct. If you are having the good communicator, so you having the more confidence about yourself. This good communication is a play important role for the self-confidence. Whether you want to give a speech in a class or present slide in meeting, you won't face any difficulty. If you express your skills with the help of the good communication, so whatever you want to say that a listener or the people they can understand easily. There are the infinite benefit of a good communication skill and to attain a superiority in the communicating your ideas. You must be learn the communication techniques first and then work on your skills. So here I express the few types of the communication and how you can improve your communication with the this I shown in my slides. So I again at last thank you for all listener. They can listen the my idea about this communication skill. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. You have really done justice to it, and you took a different perspective from what our first speaker, Vina, spoke on. Thank you so much for that. You have drawn out in another way what communication is all about. You didn't dwell into what is communication because she has done it. You touched a little on it in order to go on to what it is in terms of sender receiver, and that in the communicating you must have a sender, you must have a receiver, and in doing that there are things that pertain to them. You talked about the types of communication, and you talked about verbal or oral communication, and we said is the best form, and I agree with you that is the best form because it's not everything that could be written. And it's mostly used, widely used. Most people, even before, if they have a lot of things to say, rather than spend time writing, they'll rather call you right away. It will take them 2 minutes to finish what they are saying. So it's the best. And if they make mistakes, they correct themselves immediately. And you can already get the vibes from the person to know whether it's truthful, whether the person is happy or not. And you talked about non-verbal communication, which you said is the second best. And the non-verbal could take the shape of facial expression, handshake, body language, even at times dancing when you're happy or even crying when you're not happy. You talked about written communication in various forms, emails, WhatsApp, and all kinds of things, writing letters and all that. You talked about visual communication, which includes pictures, snack signs, videos, even audios, graphics, signs on the road. You talked about listening communication. Elements, you now went on to elements of communication. You talked about source, sender, channel, and all that feedback, and asking questions if you don't have a good response or you don't understand. You talked about the process. You talked about process without saying you're talking about process, because you mentioned feedback along the line. And you also said to communicate, you must talk about what, you must think about what you're communicating. You have to think about when you need, because there's best time to communicate for everything, and how you should communicate that. So you wrapped up everything from a different perspective And we've understood communication very, very well, added to what we got from Vena. Thank you so much. And in thanking you, I will just want to ask just 2 questions that relate to written communication. One, when you write, if you take written communication, are there any backsides to it? What is the disadvantage of written communication? Sorry, what would you do if you're writing somebody? If I'm writing Dr. Patricia Gonde, and before you send it, what do you do before you send it to her?
Misadvantage of writing communication, a main thing is the language. If you want to like in English language, and whatever he want to read that, they or he also should be understand the main wording or main meaning of the written communication. If he or she is not understood whatever you wrote, so there is no any use of that communication. So
no, okay. What I mean, just 1 minute. What I mean, Patricia Conde, Ambassador Patricia, is your friend. I know she's your friend, and you want to send her an email, and you construct the email before you send it to her in Zimbabwe. What do you do? Because we are talking about effective communication. How would you regard that email as effective? What do you do before you send it to her?
First,
you just write it and send to her.
So without email address, it is not possible to send the email. So first thing I require the email address.
No, not the email. What you have written, whether in WhatsApp, let's say WhatsApp, even if it is WhatsApp, what do you do before posting your message?
First thing, I send a hi that I want to ask something, and I ask, what is your name? This is so in that time, see, there is a misunderstanding between, if the she is a ladies, so why you asking my name? Why you asking that I having some important word from your side? So there is a miscommunication gap there.
Okay, what I'm saying, you know why you chose oral verbal communication as the best, and then non-verbal, the next one. Written communication has some challenge that we must all take notice of, cognizance of, in order to use that as a very effective means of communicating, if you must use it. After we've constructed the message, we must try and read it through. You must proofread it, go through it several times.
Yeah.
Because it brings out what you want to communicate to the person. If you don't read it through, there could be mistakes. You're writing what is in your head, but you mean another thing. You can also have typo errors, and the receiver will see it differently and will not understand it. So after writing, that is the very bad part of written communication. Even if in email and all that, they say, if you can't read, there's software also that you can use to do grammar checks and sentence checks, but they are not foolproof. So even after doing that, read through again. Read through to make sure that what you want to communicate to Ambassador Patricia Gonde is what you really want to communicate. At times it happens to me, and I say, no, this is not what I want to communicate. And I delete it and I start again. So it's important we minimize that to get that written aspect of it to be very, very good before we communicate with it. Now, I heard you also talk about humor. You said you can use humor when you are communicating every time. And my question is, do you use humor every time you want to communicate? Doesn't it depend on the type of communication you want to do?
Pardon, I'm not understood what you said.
Okay, you said humor is important in communication. and in all communications. I said, I don't think it's important in all communications. Humor is important when it is something good. We are laughing, we are joking, and you're cracking jokes. But if you want to communicate to somebody that somebody died, or there's a mishap somewhere, there's an accident, something that is not good, you don't humor. You don't humor, whether it's in written, whether it's non-verbal, whether it's in verbal or any form. So humor is not good for all communications. It's only in situations that are very, very good. You know, you want to relax. So that's all. I don't know if anybody has one or two, so that we can finish with him, so that he can watch and contribute too. Any contribution? Yes. Sutapa, you want to add something? Please do. Please do.
Okay, so very well articulated, Dr. Ashok, and it was really a treat to my ears hearing to your presentation, first of all. And answering your question, Uche ma'am, about the written communication and what are the disadvantages, before you could proceed, I raised the hand, and you also, you know, already included a couple of the points. So in addition to what you said, exactly, when we write when we are into a written communication, one very important thing is missing, that is our emotion and feelings. It's not there, it's just the words. So how will the person who is receiving that email or the message, he is going to take the message? It matters a lot. So first of all, the right choice of words. Secondly, very important thing is put yourself to the other person's shoes. That if I am reading that message, what will I interpret, or what will I understand? If I can understand it in a positive way, I believe the other person can also understand in a similar way, if not the exact way, but almost similar, and it will be positive, first of all. And secondly, instead of using a lot of jargons and, you know, bombarding words, I believe it should always be very simple, precise, and to the point. Because I might be very good in English, my command in English might be very good, but maybe the person to whom I'm writing might not be, he must be just having the basic knowledge of understanding the language. So I don't have to put into a lot of jargons and a lot of those words which will make my, you know, the email or the message look very nice, but not understandable. So my point is to make him understand and not to show my English command. So if that is the language, I should always, you know, emphasize that it has to be very simple. And again, before writing any message, we need to be very clear that what is my purpose of writing the message? What is the objective behind writing that particular message? So if we can have all these things in our mind before we jot down a written conversation or an email or a message, I think we'll be somewhere near to effective communication through our written skills.
You're my sister forever. You're my sister forever. You have just mentioned very important things, because written things are very, very dangerous. You can write something that you didn't know. It can incriminate you. You can put yourself into trouble. But by the time you're called attention to it, oh, that's not what I mean. So all the points she mentioned are very, very important in written. That's why many people will rather use oral, but don't use oral everywhere. In formal organizations, you are asked to put it down in writing. So in putting it down in writing, you become very careful to know what you're writing and what you're not, because you may be nailing yourself by just one word. So at times, what people do after writing, they can ask another person, please read through this for me and see if it is okay. So that you make sure that you are out of the woods, you are out of the trouble, especially in a place where you know that people are after you. They are putting traps for you. So you become careful with what you are writing and have a clear mind. I know that, for instance, Sutapa, what you just said, when I was the director in the directorate in my university, somebody, you know, made me angry, and I just came to my office. I sat down to write. I was in a bad mood. I was crying. And another friend came from his office and came in, and the usual joke with chat, and he made the joke and he saw my face. I said, "What is it?" I told him, I said, I was just holding pen and paper to write. He said, "What are you trying to do?" And I said, "I'm trying to write my resignation. I'm off from this seat. I don't need it." He said, No, Uche. No, Kipi, you're angry now. I said, "I want to write to my vice chancellor. I don't need this. This director, I'm the same director with him, and this is what he's done." He said, "No, you don't write in anger. Go home, sleep, and come back and get back and do it." Yes, I support you, write it, but so you can read what you have written. Make sure that in writing it, you're also not implicating the person you're writing to. You're not using a bad language that people now, instead of being on the good side, being supported, you now nail yourself. And I agree with that. So that's the point we want to bring out. I don't know if anybody else has something to add. I saw some hand. Arthur, are you still there? Arthur, I saw your hand. You want to say something? Andian, Arthur? Chidodo?
Yes, ma'am. How are you? Yes.
Good. Please. Let's see your video, sir, and then talk briefly. Let's get on to the next speaker.
We have been electricity challenge here in Zimbabwe.
Okay. Go ahead. You see me, I'm using my own electricity here. The light just went off.
Okay.
Please go ahead. Yeah, 2 minutes.
Let me just explain. I wanted to highlight what is very important in ensuring effective communication. Firstly, if it is a communication, a two-way communication, whereby you are sending a communication to one who is out of your country or one who is local. But let me start with foreign communication. First thing that you have to consider is language. You should ensure that the language that you are using is betterly understood by the receiver of your message. Because in communication, we have three main things, which are the sender, the media, and the receiver. So for a communication to be said is an effective communication, the message sent must reach the receiver as it is, with the full meaning that enables the receiver to return the message to the sender. So what is important is the issue of language. Number two, if it is a written communication, you should ensure that your spellings, your grammatical errors are visited. There is no grammatical error, and you must also make sure that the issue of dates again is very important and go straight to the point. If you want to request for something, or if it is an invitation, depending on what message you want to say, just go straight to the point as it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Aden, thank you. There is something that he also pointed out I want to elaborate on. Going straight to the point. If you're doing written communication, it has to be short and precise so that you don't start rigmaroling and lose the trend. If it is oral, like he has said, mind who you're talking to or talking with, and mind how you're communicating. If I'm talking with Sutapa, I can humor, joke, use all kinds of, "Hey, babe, hi, how are you, dear? Did you get that stuff?" That we laugh. But if I'm talking to my boss, man, and I can use man for Sutapa, but if I'm talking to my boss, I better mind how I talk to him. So you talk to people, your buddies have a different way you talk with them. You can smile. There are certain situations with your boss, you dare not smile. You can just keep a plain face and listen. Yes, sir. Yes, the other way. No, the other way. You can't say no. So what you speak depends on who you speak with, depends on what two of you are known for, so that you don't get angry. If Sutapa knows that this is the way we speak, she can't get angry. But if somebody else, I just say, hey guy, he said, just say that to me. I'm not a guy. So it all depends. Choose your style for each person, each relationship, so that you won't get into trouble, and so that your communication will be very, very effective. Okay, so let's get to the, thank you very much, Ashok Gupta.
Okay,
You've
thank
done
you, thank
very,
you.
very well. We applaud you. You've added so much knowledge to all of us. Okay. And I liked how people have also added, and we all a team. It's a teamwork. We are learning. I'm learning too.
Also, I get knowledge from you, Uche Madam and Sutapa, that how can express in a writing with your that emotion. This is a very important role. So thanks to also Sutapa and you, Madam. It's good given the knowledge that whenever I am writing anything, that there is a emotion is a very important, that the receiver can hurt with that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So let's get to the third speaker, the third formal speaker, because there could be other speakers along the way. This speaker is somebody that if you look at her, I don't need to introduce her, because what her CV, what her profile says is just exactly who we are looking at. Exactly who we are looking at. And this speaker is Sutapa Nandi. Just look at her. Do I need to speak? Because everything here talks about her. It's good, and I thank IDYM that we look at people. We have eminent people in IDYM. We have people who are knowledgeable. We have people from every walk of life that if we need anything, we get from them. They'll be of help, and they are helping. This lady, Sutapa Nandi, as you see her, she's beautiful entrepreneur. She's a founder of Leap to Learn, and it's a counseling, training, and mentoring academy. She's a certified personality development and grooming coach. She's a life coach. She's a parenting coach. She's coach everywhere. She's NLP practitioner. My God, I just got to know that Sutapa was an aviation trainer, or still an aviation trainer. She is a public speech educator. She is a social activist. She is a certified makeup artist. You can see that. She is an anchor of Doordarshan channel. She's an advisor of many national and international organizations. Sutapa is a brand ambassador of Cali Girl Books 2C USA. Sutapa has worked, my God, when I saw this, I read this, I was not surprised. She has worked as cabin crew. She has worked as cabin director and personality development manager, image and style developer in an international airline, Oman Air, based in Muscat, Oman. And she's done this for 15 years. Sutapa, we welcome you. I know you are still flying. You're knowledgeable, you're beautiful, you have the skill, you have everything. Today, you want to feed us with what it means to communicate. Because you, in flying, in coaching, in being whatever, you're anchoring any news or message or discussion in any TV channel, you require communication. Although we've seen you here as a good communicator, please tell us what it takes to communicate. please. Thank you so much. Thank you. Over to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to each one of you present here, all the listeners from all around the globe. Thank you so much, Uche ma'am, for this warm welcome and this beautiful introduction. It always feels good. You know, we all know about ourselves, but when we hear from somebody else, it gives a very good feel. You know, it makes you feel very good, right? So, oh, did I do all this or still more to do, right? So we get that feeling. So thank you so much, Uche ma'am. And of course, not to forget, thank you, Ravi Shankar sir, thank you, IDYM, for creating such beautiful sessions, giving us such beautiful platforms where we can exchange our ideas, our thoughts, we can share our knowledge and make sure that each one of us are learning every day and bringing our better version each day. So not to waste more time, and before me, Dr. Gupta, Dr. Ashok Gupta and Veena has already focused and covered a lot about communication. What is communication? The 7 C's of communication. What are the different types of communication? So I will not focus a lot on those parts. I will basically focus on how we can transform our communication skills, because it is important to know what exactly this communication skill is. However, I feel after understanding what is this communication skill all about, it is even more important to know how we can learn the skill and how we can develop and improve the skill. So communication, as it's already been mentioned earlier by Veena, who was the first speaker, that the word communication has originated from a Latin word communis, which means something common. And it is a process of passing information, exchanging our ideas, our feelings, understanding each other, where we have different ways. It can be a verbal communication or a non-verbal communication. Now, we all know that communication is very important. In fact, whenever we talk about personality development, whenever we talk about mindset building, confidence building, I think we all will agree that communication is one of the skills that we want to focus the first. It is always on the top of the list whenever we talk about our life skill or whenever we talk about developing our personality overall. So communication, yes, indeed, it is an important skill which we all need to develop in order to have better interpersonal skills, in order to develop relationships with others, have a harmony in the relationship, in order to have a successful professional life, so that we can have good relationship with our colleagues, we can enhance employee productivity, we can have good team building skill, and also it helps in decision making. So moving forward, as I said, I will focus more on how we can transform our communication skills. According to me, the first way is come out of the fear of hesitation. Come out of the fear of judgment. Why the first? Because communication starts when you start speaking or when you start expressing your thoughts. And if we are in that dilemma or in that position of thinking, what will others think if I speak up? Or what will I be right? Will I be wrong? If I focus more on what will others think, I will not be able to think what I need to think, because I'm focusing on the wrong part, which is not my business to think, but rather I should focus on what I need to think. And then make sure that I put my thoughts, my ideas into a right frame of sentence with the right choice of words, with the right choice of emotion and feelings. Secondly, come out of the comfort zone. Whenever we do something which we have already been doing, we will only have the same outcome, same result all the time. So if we are thinking of getting a different outcome, first we need to change the process. First, we need to come out of the comfort zone. Because if we are comfortable of doing what we are doing, we will never see a development. We will never see a growth in ourselves. So it's very important that we come out of our comfort zone and see and do something which we are uncomfortable about, and then see the development and growth in ourselves. Moving on, the third, reading. Read as much as you can, because reading is a practice. If we bring in our daily life, we can not only build our communication skills, but will also develop our knowledge. We will improve and widen our knowledge. So reading is very important. Now, when I say reading, it's not only just reading anything as a story, or let's say any biography or any storybook just as a story. If I am into a position and a situation where I want to learn something out of my reading skill, what I need to do is I need to focus on those words or the formation of the sentences which I have not been practicing so far. So if I focus on the words which are new to me, I will jot it down. I will write it somewhere. I'll put it as a notes and then research and Google or probably ask somebody to help me to understand the meaning of the words, and then try to use those words in my daily routine so that I can improve my vocabulary, my communication skills. After reading comes writing. We all have spoken about it, that writing is also a skill and writing is a way of communication. And as we saw that, yes, writing is a way where we can express ourselves. But since in writing, as I already mentioned a while ago, we are missing the very important element, that is emotions and feelings, the tone, the speech, the voice modulation. So in order to make our writing skill very effective, we need to be very precise with the right choice of word, to make it simple so that the receiver receives it in the same way I want him or her to receive. I might have a good command in English, but the person might not, or it can be vice versa. So it has to be very simple, without any technical terms, without any jargons, without any bombarding words, so that the receiving and the message has been passed in the same way, and it doesn't get diverted, or the meaning of the message doesn't change on the way. So writing is another part, how we can improve our communication skill. After writing comes listening. Yes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, as it's been already mentioned. Listening is a skill which I feel is the most important, however, the most missing nowadays. We listen not to understand, we listen to reply. So let's stop that habit. Let's stop that attitude of me. It's all not about me. It's about the person who is speaking. So I need to listen with all my ears and listen from the person's perspective without judging the person. Because I am not in that situation from where the person is speaking. So I will listen with no judgment, with the open-minded way that I can understand the person, understand the emotion, understand the feeling of the person. So listening is, again, a very important thing. If we talk about the technical part of listening, what happens when we listen carefully? When we listen carefully, we learn new things. When we speak more, we only repeat what we already know. So we see that it's very, very important to listen more and speak less. In addition to it, when we listen more, what happens? We can understand the right way of pronunciation. Because when we are reading and writing, or I would say when we are reading the way we know. There's nobody to correct us. But when we are listening to somebody who has a better understanding of the language, I can understand the right pronunciation. So that is helping me to learn the right pronunciation. So again, listening will help us to develop and to improve our communication skill. Moving on to the next after listening would be speak. Speak, speak, speak. There's no shortcut to any development of skill, let me tell you. So if we want to develop, if we want to improve any sort of skill, be it your communication skill or any other skill, we have to practice. Practice every day as if it's a part of my life. Practice the way I do all my habits. If I am into a developing phase, if I'm into that process that where I want to improvise myself, where I want to learn this skill and improve this communication skill, the only way is speak, speak, speak. That's it. When you speak, you will be corrected. When you speak, you will come out of the fear. When you speak, you'll come out of the hesitation. When you speak, you will improve your sentences. You will make mistakes. However, your mistakes will be your corrector. The more you make mistakes, the more you will learn. So let's forget about all the fears and start speaking. Start where you are. Don't look for all the resources to gather. So that means after speaking comes procrastination. Avoid procrastination. I've seen a lot of people, even when I'm taking, counseling classes and all those kind of sessions on personality development, I've seen even students, when I gather all the resources, when I gather all kind of books, where I have good mentorship, good guidance, no. Start with whatever you have. Let's not leave what is important for tomorrow. We have not seen tomorrow. So let's start where you are today. With all what you have, let's avoid procrastination if we want to develop this skill. After procrastination comes embrace failure. As I say always, there's no failure. You either win or you learn. So the way we celebrate every win, maybe you have won something where you've given a very good speech in school or in your college or anywhere in any sort of platform, you celebrate, maybe just with a bar of chocolate. So why not celebrating your failure? Because you've learned something out of it. You've learned what all mistakes you did. What is important is that you keep experimenting. That is the next point. After embrace failure comes experiment. What I mean by experiment is that you need to experiment. Doesn't matter how many mistakes you make, because the more mistakes you make, the more corrections you can do and the more you can learn. So that is the best way how you can improvise yourself, not only in particularly this skill, but as a human being, as a whole, as a holistic development of your personality. So after embrace failure, after your procrastination, next comes believe in yourself. Yes, I can do it. And for this, I feel the best way how we can believe in ourselves is that make a visualization board. For this, you need to know which level you are. If I'm in the beginner level, or if I'm in an intermediate, or based on whatever level I am in, when it comes to the communication skill, I would make a picture. If I'm good in drawing, if I'm good in writing, whatever I'm good at, I would draw it in form of what level I am in the current status. Then I would give myself a 6 months time or a year's time, or let's say 3 months time, again, based on what level I am. And then I would draw something where I desire to be. And then if I visualize that particular visualization board every day, I'm training my brain, I'm tuning my brain to believe in what I am visualizing every day. And when I start believing it, I believe that yes, it is happening and it will happen. So it will not be an overnight process. It cannot be that I just visualize it just once and then I just sit back and relax. It has to be an everyday process. So I always tell that if you want to be, especially with the communication skill, if you have the fear of stage, if you have a fear of speaking in front of masses, you just draw something. For example, I draw myself where I'm speaking in front of one person. And then I feel that I'm not that confident. But then I'm giving myself 6 months time where I gather all the tools, all the techniques, I look for help, and then I'm drawing myself wherein I have thousands of people in front of me. So that is the development. And when I see myself from 1 to 1,000, I start believing here, it's all here, that yes, I can do it. I start believing in myself that there's nothing that can stop me from learning any sort of new skill. So believing in yourself is highly, highly important. In fact, when I'm talking about all the ways of transforming your communication skill, I would say believe in yourself would be the first one in the list. Because once you believe, you start incorporating the other ways into your daily routine in order to develop that particular skill. Moving ahead, after believing would be, as already mentioned by others, and I would just say in one line, we all know that communication skill is a very important skill. And when we talk about the communication cycle, 7% is the content, 38% is your voice, your tone, your speech, and then 55% is your body language. That is a non-verbal communication. We all already spoke about a lot about body language, but 3 things which I would like to mention in body language, which according to me is very important, although there are many parts of body languages which we talk when we actually elaborately speak about body language. However, just to emphasize on just 3 points, first would be eye contact. Yes, the eye contact shouldn't be just looking directly into somebody's eyes. And the technique which I personally follow and I always teach is try to look into the middle of the eyebrow. When we look here, we give an illusion to whom we are looking at that we are actually looking into the eyes, but we are not. We are just looking into here. So, you are trying to create that illusion that you are looking into somebody's eyes and having an effective eye contact, a positive eye contact rather, but you're actually looking here. Secondly, after eye contact would be smile. We all know that smile is contagious. We all know, no matter whatever mood you are in, no matter you are sad, you are angry, but when you see somebody giving you a genuine smile, I would mention and emphasize on genuine, because yes, you can distinguish between a genuine and a fake smile. So if I get a genuine smile, irrespective of whatever mood, whatever emotion I'm into, whether it's a high intensity, low intensity, positive, negative, whatsoever, but if I know that somebody is giving me a genuine smile that actually makes my moment, that actually let me forget about my negative emotions. So smile is highly, highly important. So many times it's been asked that how much to smile based on the situation, of course. If you're in an interview, you're not going to smile all the time. If you are with your boss or if you're with somebody informal, you're not going to smile all the time. But yes, it has to be a genuine smile. However, on the other hand, when you're with your friends, as Uche ma'am mentioned about, hey man, hey buddy, whatever. Of course, we are not in a formal relationship. So in that case, of course, we can smile as much as we want to, right? But what is important is your smile has to be genuine. Now, I'll give you 3 tricks which has worked with me. So it's been tested. How you can know that it's a genuine and a fake smile. When we do a genuine smile, our lips will go up. However, when we have a fake smile, it will be a horizontal line, just a line. This is a fake smile. When we have a genuine smile, we have wrinkles near to our eyes. No matter how toned your skin is, still you will have a little bit here. But when you have a fake smile, there will be nothing here. When you have a genuine smile, even your teeth is very small and you're very, good set of teeth, but still you will see a little bit of it. When you have a fake smile, your lips will be closed, zip-locked. So these are the 3 ways how you can know whether somebody is giving you a fake smile or a genuine smile. Third, in the body language, I would like to mention that is a posture, which is, of course, very important. If you have a right posture, your shoulders apart, you have a straight sitting posture, whether you're standing, when you are standing, it has to be with a positive, confident posture. It gives a very effective way of communication. You will be feeling yourself confident. You'll be having that authority that, yes, whatever I speak with that authority. I have that firmness. Yes, I know what I'm speaking about. So this is the three things which I would like to mention in body language. Now, moving into the next after body language, I would like to mention on the 3 levels of communication. We all know, we all, talk about how to make our communication very important. But do we focus on the other 2 levels of communication? There are 3 types, 3 ways or 3 levels of communication. When I say the first would be communication to the world. That is right now what we are doing, whether it's through virtual way or whether when we talk to our friends through call or when we meet somebody in a public meeting, whatsoever. That is talking to the world, communicating to the world. The second is communication to yourself. Spend time with yourself. Talk to yourself at least 15 minutes in a day so that you can know what you want to express. You can know your feelings. You can know your emotions. You can know what all is there within you so that you can spread it out through your communication skills. So it's very important to communicate with yourself as well. Whenever we talk about communication, we always focus and we always understand it as communicating to the world, to everyone, to the masses. But do we focus on communication to ourselves? Let's also spend a little time with ourselves so that we can also have the feeling of self-love, that I care for myself too. Third is communication to the universe or communicating to the supreme power. We all have that belief in someone, into the supreme power. So let's communicate with the supreme power as well. So these are the 3 levels of communication. Next, moving to, which has already been mentioned, voice modulation, art of pause. We also spoke about intonation, inflection. Yes, they are highly important. We all know that because your tone, your speech is more powerful than your words. For example, or let's say your expression is very important. Why? If I'm happy, I want to say I'm happy, but I say I am happy. What message I am passing? I'm passing that I'm sad, but I'm just forced to say I'm happy. But if I say I am happy with the smile, with the right voice modulation, with the right tone, the person receives the same message. But when I say I am happy with a sad tone, a sad voice modulation, with a plain face, with no smile, with no happiness, with no feelings on my face, that shows that I am actually not happy. I'm just pretending to be happy. So let's not pretend. Let's understand the right tone, the right speech, and the right voice modulation, and then put into the words so that the message being passed is being received the same way I want the person to receive it. After voice modulation, speech, and all that, I would like to conclude by saying that no one is a born communicator, none of us. That's why we always say that communication is a skill. Communication is an art. So anything which is under a skill needs to be developed, needs to be learned, needs to be practiced on a daily basis. And we always emphasize that a good communicator has to be a good communicator in English. If you are a good communicator in English, of course, you are a differentiator because English is a universally accepted language. That's the reason we always emphasize on the language. But let's understand that you can be a very good communicator in your own native language because communication is a skill. And English, Hindi, or any of the African languages, it's just a language. So I can be a very good communicator in my own native language. So what we need to emphasize is that whatever I want to pass on, whatever I want to exchange as my idea, as my thoughts, as my knowledge is being received in the same way. That is an effective communication. Let's all build that platform of communication where we understand the real meaning of communication and also spend time, want to emphasize on this, spend time with yourself, communicate with yourself too before you communicate with the world. Thank you so much for your precious time. Thank you for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we have what we have been expecting. I knew it. That was why something told me to keep her for the last, to mop up everything. And we are so happy. And I'm not going to guarantee that I will make any attempt to summarize what she has said. She said so much. She's given us 11 reasons, points on how we can transform our communication skills. There are 11 points with sub, the good sides, the bad sides, and what we should do. She gave, I don't want to spoil what we have learned. You all heard it straight. So let me not adulterate that. But I want to just say one of the last things she said. She said that nobody is born a communicator. Nobody is born an effective communicator. Nobody comes out to say, oh, even children learn how to communicate. They develop communication skills. They are taken through life to develop the communication skills. So why we are here, of all the things that have been said, the first speaker, second speaker, and what she has also added a lot, says we introspect, let's all look at ourselves and see, how do we communicate? Is it making progress for us? Are we benefiting from the way we are communicating? Do we need to develop further in order to benefit? Do we go through this having 3 levels of communication she mentioned, that we are aware that we communicate to the world? We also should communicate to ourselves, not just to our friends or to the rest of the world. And we must communicate with the Supreme Being. Thank you, Sutapa. I don't want to summarize further. I'm relishing what you have just said. I was nodding, and I know every other person was nodding. Thank you so much. I applaud you. And you have proved that you're a good communicator, being a coach, being an airline staff in various capacities. The communication you have served us today goes a long way. I'm not sure anybody will forget it because they are practical. Thank you so much. I would like to invite, I don't know, I'm sure he's ready to speak and add to what Dr. Gupta and Vena and now Sutapa said. I don't know if Dr. PK, do you have something to say? You are one communicator. You are one communicator that we've listened to every time. You communicate everywhere and anytime and every how and anyhow. Today is your day. Please let us know 1 or 2 things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and very, very good evening to everybody who are listening on such a wonderful topic. And my gratitude to Veena ma'am, Dr. Ashok sir, Sutapa ji, for giving such a wonderful tips, because this is basically required also, right? And I like to add just 2 things because that in the communication 2 things are very important. One is, we can say, as a KISS study, KISS. What is this? Keep it short and simple, right? So don't prolong the things. That's why we call it in the professional life KISS thing. Second thing, I'd like to speak about the think, because when we communicate, we have to think. And what does it? The think means, the think is what you're speaking, it is true. H means it is really helpful or not. I means it is important or not. N means it is necessary or not. And K is you are very humble and kind. So I just like to add on this. The third point I like to add it, any communication thing which is happening, there has to be a time period on that, right? Because a human mind doesn't accept more than 20 minutes. And whenever we talk in any of the forum and all, or whenever we talk in the marketing team, where the people, they are highly qualified and professionals, after 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the time, which will be there for basically question and answers. Because after 20 minutes, exactly after 15 minutes, people, they stop listening and they start only hearing the things. And when they start hearing the things, nothing comes out about it. So that is a very, very important part of the communication which has to be taken care, because people, for the sake of the thing, they will be sitting there, but they will not be involved in that. So three things: kiss, think, and time frame, which is very important. That is all from my side. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity. It's already too late. It is already 10:45 here in India, and it is almost more than 2 hours. Thank you so much, and good night to everybody.
Thank you, Dr. PK, for adding and summarizing some of the things we have said already here. We appreciate your emphasizing on them again. I think at this point, we will have to call it a day and go home to relish all that everybody has said. And I think we're all saying the same thing. All that we have said are said in different ways and from different angles. So it's a big pot of soup or stew or food or salad that everybody has contributed to make a very good food, a very good dish. We want to thank IDYM for giving us this opportunity. I thank Ravi, thank our CEO, Denol Ashmi, thank our technical team. More importantly, they are still awake, led by Ashmi. They are still awake, waiting on us in order to conclude this. We appreciate them so much and making sure that nothing goes wrong, and nothing has ever gone wrong. Nothing went wrong today, and nothing will go wrong tomorrow. We thank them sincerely for all the sacrifices they made, because they are doing this voluntarily. Nobody has paid them. I also thank the speakers. Nobody has paid them. Dr. Ashok Gupta, Sutapa, and Vena, you all are wonderful, awesome. Today is the best that we have had, one of the best I can say. And that is because also, like all speakers, you've done this, all the sacrifices you've made, you've done this voluntarily, and you've cooked a very good dish. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And on behalf of IDYM, I say thank you yourself. Thank you to everybody, the participants. Arthur, I also thank you for contributing the way Dr. PK has contributed. Thank you for coming. Myself, I want to thank myself. I am the moderator, and I'm ending this by saying thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn from all of you. Good night, everybody. Good night, IDYM.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Yes.